Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, this is Yahua. I'm doing a PhD at the University of Melbourne. Today's video is a follow-up to the last Q&A that I made because a lot of you asked me questions about learning English. Here I am, addressing all of your concerns. But I will specifically focus on oral English and listening skills because these are the areas that I often got asked about. Alright, without further ado, let's get started. The first question is how to learn English in a systematic way. I guess there isn't any universal answer to these questions because each person have different backgrounds, level of fluency and other stuff. But it's important to be clear of your purpose of learning English. Do you want to learn English to pass any kind of exams or to make any friends from other countries? Or you want to use English as a way to open the door to the world? So I can't tell you how you can study English in a systematic way because you are the one that knows better on yourself and you are the one that can build up your own system at your own pace. To set out a system, you can start by asking yourself, why do I want to improve my English? And write down some of your motivations, think about what kind of goals you want to achieve and what you should do to achieve these goals. To better illustrate the thought process, here I made a mind map on XMind, which is a free-to-use mind mapping and brainstorming app that I've been using for a few years. I think mind mapping is the best way to organize your thoughts, especially when you want to build out a system for your study, work, and life. Using a tool like XMind, it just makes things so much easier. You can switch between different structures and find out the best way to visualize your ideas, take notes, keep track of things, brainstorm ideas, etc. Let's say if your goal is to pass a bunch of exams, which I'm sure a lot of you are currently preparing for some kind of exams. Take IELTS as an example. You might need to break down different sessions and see what kind of skills that you are lacking. On XMind, you can create a set topic under a topic on another page where you can make detailed everyday plans. Here's an example of how you can prepare IELTS in 2 months, but you can make it more specific based on your time and plans. But I guess passing these kind of exams doesn't mean that you are fluent in English. So now let's move on to talk about oral English. In terms of spoken English, I guess a lot of you want to speak English fluently and confidently, and I got lots of questions asking me about pronunciation and intonation. I will say that if you want to improve your pronunciation, you probably need to make use of the International Phonetic Alphabet, which can help you better understand the pronunciation. But I guess when you know how to pronounce a word correctly, it's not enough. That's when you might need to think about how to improve your intonation. One way to do that is by mimicking the way someone speaks English, whether this person speaks British English or American English, or you can try shadowing, which is a technique to listen and copy when someone speaks English. So these are the ways that you can improve your pronunciation and intonation. But there's another thing that I want you to keep in mind is that you need to open your mouth to speak it and to practice, and also don't be afraid of making mistakes. You need to be willing to make mistakes. There's a quote that I took from a TED Talk that I watched the other day. If you want to learn a language, you must be willing to make mistakes. Lots of mistakes because that's how you know the boundaries of linguistic rules. It's common that people make mistakes. It's not something that is embarrassing. It's just like a common practice. I guess even though you make mistakes, like no one's gonna care. But then practicing by yourself is one way, but to use in everyday communication is another thing. So this is when you probably need to make friends who can also speak English with you. Some people think, it's a dumb thing when you're surrounded by a bunch of Chinese peers, but then you guys are talking in English. This is not dumb. These are a bunch of aspiring, ambitious Chinese want to improve English all together. But here I also got questions from someone who is studying in Canada with other Chinese peers together. So there isn't any chance for them to speak English because they're just living in Chinese environment even though they're physically in Canada. So the questions might be how to find out friends from other countries or other cultural backgrounds. It's good to have some Chinese friends around you, but you probably also want to expose yourself to other cultural backgrounds if you really want to make friends from other countries. I guess you can probably think about, is there any kind of chance that you can make friends from other countries? For instance, you can sit next to someone in the class who is from other countries countries so that you can create an opportunity to discuss with this person during the class. But then after the class, either you or your classmates need to make one step further to have some small talks. What's your plan for the weekend? Do you want to do this and that? Let's grab a lunch together. Let's try out this new cool cafe that near uni and try to find out other opportunities that you can develop your friendship with people from other countries. Or you can also think about, is there any kind of student clubs that you can join, or language exchange groups or apps that you can use? So these are some of the ideas that I have, but I guess you can be more creative and think about, is there any other opportunities that you can grab? Next, let's talk about listening skills. I got questions asking me how to improve their listening skills, especially when you first come to a new country, you don't understand what people are talking about. I think that totally makes sense. I guess it's because our education system, we are so used to those standard type of English, so we didn't have that much exposure to other type of English, like Australian bogan English.
The car smashed and I seen the bloke walking back to the car, and so I've walked outside and I said, "Oh, what are you doing, mate?"
Stuff like that. There are some ways to deal with this situation. Firstly, to make use of audiovisual materials. You can listen to podcasts, like different kinds of podcasts, and not just listening to it, but also try to train yourself to listen to it at a faster speed. So in a way that you can make yourself more familiar with some fast English speakers. Once you make yourself familiar with it, I guess your brain wouldn't think about the Chinese translation, but you can instantly get the meaning when someone speaks English. And another way to improve your listening skills is to make yourself exposed to other cultural backgrounds. That means making friends. So making friends from other countries is not just a good way to practice your oral English, but you can also improve your listening skills, because this is like a back and forth conversation, especially those like who are also international students, but they are not from China, probably from other countries like Europe or Southeast Asia. For them, English is also their second language, so that sometimes they also struggle a lot, but then if you make friends with them and you communicate with them, which means that you also need to listen to them. So once you make yourself exposed to different cultural backgrounds, then I'm sure you wouldn't feel yourself that confused when someone is speaking English. So yeah, that's for your speaking and listening skills. Here I didn't write anything on my mind map in terms of reading and writing, but I will leave some space here for you to think about how you can do with your reading and writing skills. Lastly, I think learning a language should be a lifelong process. It's not just about using the word learning or studying, but to live with the language, practicing and using it. This is the only way that you can improve your English. To be honest, I don't really spend time learning English nowadays because I use it frequently. I gradually improve it. That's just how it works. Alright, that's all for today. I hope you find today's video helpful. And here I also encourage you to make your own mind map, organize your thoughts, and think about the kind of goals you want to achieve and what you can do to achieve these goals. Let me know your feedbacks or if you have any other questions in the comments. I will see you in the next one. Bye!